Hey y'all, almost forgot about doing this video. I be forgetting I be having stuff on my skin. I was like, what is that? My monthly roundup for April. I realized today that I did not even have it in my calendar to do. So I looked through my calendar with palettes that I used, and we're gonna talk about them. Whether we're gonna tier them or not, y'all know I never know that. But we're going to, let me move this mirror right here because I do not need it for this video. I am excited to do this. I'm tired, y'all. Tired. So hello and welcome if you're new here. My name is Dion and I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube. Why do I call it that? The craziest concepts. The crazy, just knowing it's okay to be yourself. Be your authentic self. However you are, however your personality is in your day-to-day life and in videos, be your authentic self. Let it shine through. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. As you're watching beauty-related content, you'll hear you need to use this brand. If you want your makeup look this way, you have to use this brush. You have to use this technique. Let me tell you something. Do whatever you want to. Use it however you want to because you need to be satisfied with your makeup. However you get it on and this how you like it, wear it and rock it. So if they want to say you're a troll, which they don't, because you don't do things the way they say or because you don't buy the stuff that they say, so what? We'll be a troll because we're going to wear our makeup and we're going to rock it. The bottom line here, self-acceptance and self-love, embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, when you want to, but never ever feeling like you have to. Listen, this is the craziest concept of them all. Love yourself for who you are and for how you look, even without face paint on. Yes, that's the bottom line. I need to let you know two things. If you're new here, I do cursing videos because I curse sometimes, period. And there's an organism that lives in my throat that randomly hiccups, gurgles, and belches. I do always say excuse me. So welcome. Hopefully all of that resonates with you, what the message of the Crazy Troll Nation is. I would love for you to stay, subscribe, like, share, join if you're interested in that. There's always a lot of information down below. And for each of these brands I'm going to talk about, I do have a playlist. So feel free to go to my channel if you want to see looks on any one of these particular palettes and just check them out. So the palettes I used for April, ironically, I used two of Pat McGrath Astral Quads, Blitz Astral Quads. And I used them both for the Creative Art with Heart collab. And I feel like I'm yelling and I don't know why. I have not had Mountain Dew and I'm hungry and I'm thirsty and my back hurts. So I don't know what's going on. I used this for one of the Creative Art with Heart collabs. I really enjoy this palette. I really do. And surprisingly, I think I did a vampy fairy look with this palette. And the next week, that one, I didn't even tell you what it's called. Iconic Illumination. That's this one. I got this off of Macari. Yes, y'all, I purchased used makeup. I know. She said she'd only use it, well, she had only used it like one time, but y'all know I was still like, and you can sanitize powder, so spray it with alcohol, stuff like that. But I was still like, am I really buying it? It was a good deal. I purchased it. This one is Ritualistic Rose. I used this for the iridescent pinup look for the Creative Art with Heart collab. So these quads, y'all, even though, like, do I really rock? Well, I do know I rock these shadows, but is this my preferred aesthetic? No, but you know what? It comes in handy. The colors and for what I, used it for, it came in handy. And the first time I used Iconic Illumination, it was like a vampy, smoky type look. And I'm like, y'all know I love smoky, dark, vampy looks. And so I was just like, yes. I don't know. I think we're going to tier them again. But it's going to be, yeah, we're going to tier. It's going to be challenging. It's always challenging when I tier stuff. We also did a look with the Natasha Denona Xenon palette. And I don't know why, except that I hadn't used it in a while. And I want to say we did some experiments, but I feel like I've been experimenting a lot lately with makeup and different things that I do. Yeah, so we used this last month. Today is April. It ain't even April. Today is May 3rd. It's a Friday night. We used the MAC Cosmetics Future Flame Connecting Color, and this was for a collab with Jasmine. And so we did a look and answered 5 questions. This palette is easy to use. It does have some versatility in it. My look was very different than her look, and her look was amazing. And she said she was going to try mine, and I'm like, girl, I'm gonna try yours. We do have different eye shapes though, so my looks always look different when I try to recreate them from somebody else's because my eye look. And then I got the puff. I call this the puff. It's been there since I was a child. It's just how my eye shape always was and always My whole face is just puffy, so who am I kidding? But I really do enjoy this palette. And yeah, I was going to say more, but let's keep it moving. I use some kind of haunted because I was still trying to figure out, you know, where it is in my life. You know what I'm saying? In my makeup journey, I do have tape over this shade that I always talked about was just a pain and it travels everywhere. And this, when I swatched it against, I want to say Crimson something in one of the motherships, it's the exact same shade. And so I'm like, if I want this shade, I'll just use that one. And that one is a little less messy than this one. And even just closing it, it would just travel everywhere and even onto my label on the back. And so I put tape over it because I know I'm not going to ever use it. This shade, this one and this one are not original to the palette. They're, all three of those are MAC singles. Is it that one? No, MAC uninterrupted. Yeah, and these two up here. These two, the ones that were original in here, when I splashed them, they completely just crumbled. So I think it was a lack of a binding agent or something, because Notoriously Morbid does hand press their shadows. And so I knew they were unusable. I use a sponge tip when I do swatches, and I put the sponge tip in it and it just crumbled. And I was just like, oh. And so I'm like, okay, that's not going to work. So that's why these two are here. No, that's why this one is here and this one is here. This one was very chunky, very glittery. It took a lot to get on my lid and it didn't even show up as a color. So I'm like, why are you here? So I took that one out and popped this shade in here. So the one that was here and here crumbled. This one just did not show up and there was a lot of friggin' work. So everything else in here is original. I do like the looks that I did with it. Again, I do have a playlist for each palette that I'm showing you. This is from Notoriously Morbid, so you can check out that playlist and to see the looks that I've done with that and to hear my first impressions and other thoughts as I continue to use it. We use Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palette. Is that what it's called? Y'all, I am so tired. Yeah, we used this for something. I think we used it just because we had not used it in a while. This is the second time I've had this. They are bringing this back in, Ghost Town back, for spooky season, as people call it. And so if you don't have this and you've wanted it, it's coming back later on this year. And if you don't have Ghost Town and you want it, it's coming back. And I'm wondering because they're bringing them both back around the same time, which I imagine they will, because spooky season is only one season, so that's why I'm thinking they'll bring them back at the same time. I'm wondering if they're going to do a bundle deal. That's what I'm wondering. I do have a non-affiliated code for Nomad, which is Dion, D-I-O-N. It saves you 10%. I don't make any commission off of it. Nomad Cosmetics, this is not Nomad. Notoriously Morbid, I do have an affiliate code with them. You will save 15%. I will make a little bit of commission off of that. There's a lot of links down below, y'all. So I did use this and I'm really digging it. And what I was testing was the performance, because the one I had before, every shimmer in that palette creased on me just across the board. Their formula back then, and I'm wondering if they're going to use the same formula for this, because if you've been following Nomad, every other palette they're changing the formulas, and some of their palettes they are now including pressed pigments, which is new for them. So when this came out initially, I do like the formula, but every shimmer here creased on me, and when I used it again in April, the shimmers did crease on me. So it's just something with this formula, and it may be the oils that's in it. Almost every palette has an oil in it and they're each different. And I will say for Nomad, and it might be because my skin is sensitive, but all of their palettes that I've had, that I've kept, they did turn on me around 8 or 9 months. The period was 12 months. And I do think it's because of whatever oil they use in it, because oils do expire. That's my theory. I don't know. I haven't asked them. You know, it just is what it is. But I do know makeup does not last forever, so it wasn't a big deal. And y'all know I be using my makeup. And so even for 8 or 9 months, you know, I'm using the heck out of a palette. And so I do really like the look that I did with it. And I don't remember like where I was going or why. It wasn't for a collab. It was just to use it. Janessa sent me the Uden's Eye Betty Bean. It actually says Betty Jean on the sleeve and on the palette. This is the Planet Spirit palette. I didn't have anything from Uden's Eye. I had tried something before and my lids didn't care for it. She sent me this. She had purchased a mystery box and she had already had this palette. So she didn't even open it. She messaged me, hey, would you like to try it? I was like, sure. She sent it to me brand new. It was still wrapped up in the cellophane, all of that. So she had this, of course, already. She sent this to me. I talked to Grace. Of course, Grace has it because y'all know Grace be shopping. So the three of us did a collab. I would love for you to check that video out. If I remember, I will link it below. If not, you can find it in my collabs playlist. But what I like about that collab is Janessa is fair, I'm tan, Grace is brown. And so you saw how these shadows looked on different complexions, and each of us has a different preferred aesthetic, a different style. Now, granted, this is not my preferred aesthetic. It's not dark, it's not smoky, it's not vampy, it's not grungy, but every now and then I do like to rock a pop of color. And so that's what this did for me. And my eyes did start tingling a little bit, and then there was mild burning. Shortly after the video, my eyes felt fine. No burning, no tingling, nothing like that. And when I removed my makeup, however many hours later, my eyes were fine. There was no reaction to it, which I'm happy about, which means I will use this again. So far, I've only used it the one time. There's 10 shades in here. I think I used 8 in that video, and it doesn't look like it because of how it's only, a few color stories in here. You got red, you got orange, you got green, you got one purple, and one gold. And so some of them did just kind of blend together, but I wanted to use as many as possible to see, am I going to have a reaction? And if I do, is it going to last to where I can't keep this palette? And it did not last to where I cannot keep it, so I will be keeping it. But this is definitely different from me. I just held up Haunted Europe. That's my aesthetic. And then we come to this bright pop of sunflowers in springtime. But I did enjoy it, so I do encourage you to check out that collab, those videos. Also, not my preferred aesthetic. Y'all, it was on sale. So I got the Nomad Cosmetics Paradise Islands, and because it was on sale and you didn't need a code, I was able to use my non-affiliated code to get 10% off. This is what it looks like. I did a 3-look, 1 palette video. We did these 2 columns for the first look, if I'm not mistaken. These 2 for the second look, and these 2 for the third look. And I can honestly say I did like all the looks because I was concerned about these shades right here, but they served a purpose for, transition shade or, under my brow bone. They did serve a purpose. And I do like this palette. It did surprise me because y'all know I don't really do these types of shades. So I was just like, and even like these right here, I was, But they are tan girl friendly, brown girl friendly, because I've heard content creators deeper than me use these shades and they didn't make them look ashy or dusty. So the only downside is this is your darkest shade and this one, but that's more of like a bold type of dark shade. And so if you're wanting depth, like a brown or a black or a smoke gray, you're going to have to get that somewhere else. But me, I prefer to just use a palette for what it is. And if I want to add stuff later, I will. But I did just use this palette. Actually, that video came out today, May 3rd. Yeah, it did. And I do, as I said, like all the looks that I did with it, even though it's not my preferred aesthetic. If I want something lighter, if I want something more colorful, if I want something hella colorful, I know where to go. We only have 2 more. 2 more. Y'all, we only, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We only use 9 palettes in April. And I'm like, damn, that's really low. And then I remembered I was sick for like a week or so. And then other stuff was popping up. And so I was just like, damn. Only whatever number I just said, which I forgot already. Sent to me in PR from Notoriously Morbid. I think I already mentioned I do have a 15% off code down below. And some of you have been using it, and I thank you for that. And even my other codes and my shop my links and things that you use, I do really appreciate it. The money that I do earn from affiliate codes and from the shop my links and everything, that money goes into my beauty budget account, which goes back into whatever makeup purchases or products I buy for the channel. So it does go back into the channel. I don't be like, hey, I'm getting Chinese today. No, it goes back into the beauty related stuff. So this is what it looks like. It was sent to me with the lipstick. The lipstick is in my MAC bag. Sometimes it's just a forward bag. Sometimes it's an Ulta bag. If you know, you know. It sits right here at all times. Yeah, and I did mention to my PR contact person that I did have an issue with the lipstick, and she said, she would let whoever know so they can check the formula. And also Katie's video, her channel is Makeup for Lost Time. she had an issue too. So I know it's not just me. And she said she was going to contact them as well. So I don't know. And that was one of the Mystic metallic formulas. And I had 4 in my cart. I ended up taking them all out because I don't know if it's just that formula. And it did say it had like glitter flakes in it. And so I think that's part of why it wasn't a consistent application. When I put it on, it was patchy. It was hard to get on. It was hard to even get the wand out of the component. It was just an all-around mess. And when I did swatches and put it on my chin, it may look good at when I built it up. But then when I smile, you see all the patchiness. It just was not it. So, but this is the Unearthly Aura palette. I did a live stream of swatches. It was a hot mess because how they numbered and named the shadows was completely jumbled according to how they're in the palette. And so what I did was, looking at the back of the palette, I typed up the names and then I looked at the descriptions. So these are the names of the shadows. These are the descriptions. So that way, when I'm looking in this palette, I can say to you, we're going to use Moon Dust, and that's a gray blue base with pink gold shifting sparkles, because I like to tell you what it is. And for Notoriously Morbid, because it is a lot of dual chromes and multi-chromes, I like to tell you what it is and what they say it is. So when I apply it, you can see, is it really that? And these shadows, they are described perfectly. The shifts are noticeable. It is best to put 1 to 2 at the most if you're using dual chromes or multi-chromes on your lid, so that way when you turn, you'll see the shifts. And me, if I put on like 4, you're just going to see that base shade because they're too close together. But these shadows, they are what they say they are. And the shifts, you do see the shifts. Yeah, I enjoyed the looks that I did. I want to say we did looks by rows. This row, this one, and that one. But now I'm thinking that I didn't. I don't know, but it's a 4-look one palette video. I do like this palette. Some of the textures are different. Again, Notoriously Morbid hand presses, and so if you purchase this, your experience may be different than mine. The mattes pretty much function the same, but some of the glittery shades, and you can look and see what's glittery. Like you can see the texture in this one, whereas you don't see texture in this one. And these are different formulas. These are matte shades, I believe. But you can look at it and see the ones that are more textured than the other ones. The deeper shades in here, these show the hell up. And y'all know I love that. And this one as well. And so when I first looked at this, I was like, it's like 2 rows of light shades, almost 2, and like 6 dark shades. But you know what? Somehow this just freaking works. And I do like the formula. It is a slight learning curve, but because I have other Notoriously Morbid palettes, I kind of know, okay, blah, blah, blah. And also because I always do a swatch party before I use a palette for looks, I get a feel for, is this flaky? Is it chunky? Is it smooth? Do I need to take my time with it? Is it really soft or whatever? And so that for me helps me out, doing a swatch party first, just to get a feel for the different textures of the different formulas in the palette. I do really enjoy this palette. I do like the looks that I did. And for me, it is always a learning experience, regardless of if I'm familiar with the formula or not, with Notoriously Morbid, because they are hand pressed. And so it may function, a shadow may function a little differently. Like with Some Kind of Haunted, the 2 crumbled. You know what I mean? And those were matte shades. And so even though I do the swatch party first, it gives me an idea of how to use a shadow. When I go to use it, it's still a learning experience because it's my first time with that palette. And speaking of first time with that palette, this is Grunge Life from Seldom Cosmetics. The video did not air yet. I don't know when this hasn't aired as of May 3rd. I just edited it tonight. And so I don't know if you'll see this before or after. I'm going to put this for after, so that way you will have seen the looks. Excuse me. Yeah, my throat is obnoxious, that thing that lives in there. I'm trying to put my fingers inside the sleeve so I can cover up the mirror. I did 3, no, I did not. I was going to do 3 looks, but I did by rows. This was a look, this was a look, this was a look. This look, it took me a lot longer than I expected. So this is a video all by itself, and it's still my usual length of like 30, 40, 45, 50 minutes. And these 2 are in the same video. I really like this palette. I like the palette. I do. That's all I'm going to say, because I go off on like a rant tangent thing every single time I talk about this. And I made a decision last time. I'm not going to keep doing that because it's just not necessary. Because if y'all seen the other videos, y'all already know. But I do really like this palette. Every look was friggin' grungy. It says grunge life. And I like it that it's the messy grunge. You can do the cutesy grunge if you want to. Just use like these shades right here. Maybe like these three. Or maybe like these three. But if you incorporate this in any of these, even this one, you're going to get grunge. This for me was good for a transition area, like not up to my brow, but between the top line of my lid shades and the brow. And the same with this one. This one did show a little bit deeper, but not super deep. But this palette, I love the color story. I love messy grunge. Don't give me that cutesy, artsy, fartsy stuff. No, give me some messy grunge. If we're going to grunge it, we're going to grunge it. You know what I'm saying? And so I really do enjoy this palette. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say, because I'm wanting to say other stuff that's not necessary, because this is about the palettes, if I like them or not. And as you can see, I do like them all. So how are we going to tier or rank these palettes? That's the question. We're going to do, fuck, this is always so friggin' hard. Okay, we're going to, yeah, y'all, it's a struggle for me every single friggin' time. We're going to do top tier and mid tier, period. We're not going to do a bottom tier. And I like it when I want everything to be at the top, because that tells me I'm doing something right with my collection when I love every freaking thing that I've used. And so it's like, what about whatever palette would make it not top tier if I really had to rank them? And so what I'm going to do, yeah, okay. How many do we have though? I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Why am I thinking we had more than 9? Those are the 2 sleeves. Oh, because I was forgetting about this one hiding over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why do I think I said 11 earlier? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 palettes. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to do top tier, and mid tier. And I'm still just like, we're going to put Natasha Denona Mini Xenon mid tier, only because I have the Mini Xenon. And so that satisfies me with this. But what this does for me, I was doing something and I'm like, oh, let's just put this on the lid. It was perfect. Or it was like, let's just buff out, you know, brow bone or something with that. So this comes through in a clutch when it's like, oh, I just want something really shiny. And this silver is strong. Like, it doesn't just shear out. No, you got a moonbeam on your eye. This is friggin' amazing. This gives me depth. This is a black, and I do believe it's black is black. Is that what it's called? Yes. But it's only mid-tier because I have the Xenon, which actually does not have a black in it. All the 3 blacks in there are blue-based, and even when you look in the palette, they look blue. So I kind of want to move this to top tier now. But we're going to keep it where it is. And I don't reach for it much. But when I'm like, oh, I just want to pop just a bold shimmer, this. If I want to just pick a black, and this is easy to grab, or if I just want something to buff out, you know, below my brow bone, but like kind of in this area, these 2 come in the clutch for that. But that's the only reason I kind of use it. Is just grabbing it for something versus just using it as it is, which I did when I first got it. So that is the only reason this is mid-tier. This is a wonderful palette. I love her formula. Another mid-tier, Notoriously Morbid Paradise Islands, only because It's not my preferred aesthetic. That's the only reason. I love the formulas in here. Everything went on smooth. Everything went on fine. I did not have any problems with it. Everything showed up. And as I said, even these lighter tones, they served a purpose for the look that I did. And I do really like all the looks. And so only mid-tier because it's not my preferred aesthetic. And if that's the reason, then I need to add another thing to mid-tier. And that's going to be Ritualistic Rose. This is not my preferred aesthetic. But the looks I've done with this, I really do like. But I don't normally want a light, airy, ethereal look. So that's the only reason. I love this formula. And the Blitz Astral shades, the formula reminds me of some of the sparkly shades in Notoriously Morbid palettes. Because it has that grit, but it's not like really gritty. Like it shows up. You see the color. It's not very difficult to work with. And it just shows up and it's really pretty. So that's what some of these, this texture, the Blitz Astral shades, the texture reminds me of some of the Notoriously Morbid shades. Also for mid-tier is going to be Unzai Baddie Bean. I want to say Baddie Bean because that's her channel, but it says Betty Jean on here. Planet Spirit palette, only because, the same reason as the Nomad Paradise Islands one, only because this is not my preferred aesthetic. But did I like the look? Yeah. If I want something bold, do I know where to go? Yeah. If I want something bright, do I know where to go? Yes. And I know it's going to show up and I know it's going to look nice. So that's the only reason this is mid-tier, is because it's not my preferred aesthetic. I am very happy to have it. I'm excited that Janessa thought of me to say, hey, would you like this palette? Would you like to try it? And I'm glad that I said yes, because I really do like it. So that's the only reason. So none of these are mid-tier because I don't like the formula or because I don't like the looks. It's just because it's not my preferred aesthetic. And in this case, I have the MIDI Xenon, which I happen to use more than that one. Also, y'all gonna be like, girl, you contradicting yourself. We're gonna put this mid-tier, Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe, only because every shimmer creases on me. Every shimmer creases on me. It's just something with the formula with this. But this is my aesthetic. So they're like, girl, you contradicting yourself. The other ones are only there because it's not your aesthetic. This one is mid-tier because every shimmer in here creases on me regardless. And it's not horrible because my crease is hidden under the puff. So even if I look down, you're not seeing in my crease. And so I do have to look for it, but it's still there. But I do like all the looks I've done with this and with all of my other palettes as well. And so these are not mid-tier because I don't like them. Everything just can't be at the top. And sometimes I think about, when I look at what I have, everything really is top tier for me because I do have a curated collection. And that's really special to me to have stuff where I'm like, it's all my favorite. But for purposes of this type of video, something has to not be at the top for whatever reason. That leaves for top tier, Blitz Astral Quad, Iconic Illumination. The first look I did with this, it was smoky and vampy. I'm like, yes, thank you. And I didn't expect it because looking at pictures with this, looking at videos of looks that people have done with this, is always that light ethereal with just like a little color in the outer corner, or this on upper lash line, even though it's a Blitz shade and everything in here is shimmery. I don't see dark looks with this. And so I was just like, but then the price, and I was curious, and I know that I love Nocturnal Nirvana, the really colorful one. And so I'm like, you know what? And I do like her Blitz Astral formula and her mattes better than some of her chunky, flakier celestial shades. And I do like her creamy texture that's in some of her quints. But I do really like the Blitz Astral formula. So I wanted to give it a try, and I am glad that I did. And the price was really good. And so this was top tier first time I used it. We're going to put Notoriously Morbid Unearthly Aura top tier because this was just a fun palette, and it did surprise me. Because I was just kind of like, these top two rows, I'm holding it upside down. So these are the two top rows. But I was excited about these, but then when I used it, I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm appreciative of the brand for sending this over to me. And y'all know if I had issues, I would tell you, just like with the lipstick they sent with it. So don't think, oh, she on a PR, of course she's going to love it. No, that's not the case. I'm going to let you know. I told y'all where that lipstick was. Grunge Life, listen, my aesthetic, and it works well. So nothing creased. This right here stained the hell out of my Fenty brushes. And I don't remember if it was this one or if it was this one. Because that next day, and I do wash brushes after every use. That was look number 2. Look number 3, I use the same brushes. I said, since they're stained already, we just gonna stay with it. And so we use the same brushes. And I'm just, yo, this is strong. This black, yes. And so, and even like these shades here, it does take a little bit longer to work with because they're creamy. They're creamy like the metallics that were in the Selling Forest Heart palette. This one and this one are just regular metallic. Yo, this showed up like pow. And I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Okay, let me tone it down. But these shadows, oh my gosh. I love the formula. And I love that every look was grungy. And it says grunge life. It is what it says it is. And I just love that. So that's top tier. And I'm excited to have it. Top tier, surprising to me, Notoriously Morbid, Some Kind of Haunted. And I do realize a lot of times I say Some Kind of Hated, and I don't know why, but it's called Some Kind of Haunted. The last time I used this, which was in April, I said I'm gonna just use it again because I was on the fence like, you know what I mean? But then every time I do use it, I'm like, I really do love this palette. Granted, this shade, this one, and this one are not original to the palette. And so I made it a point last time not to use this one or that one. I used shades that were original to the palette. And I really like the look that I created with it. And this one is a really nice bright pop, and so is this one. And there's some dual chromes and multi-chromes in here. But I really do love it because it might have been mid-tier before. But then the last time I used it, I'm like, you know what? And just ignoring this mess over here. But I really do love this palette. Like, I seriously really do. And I kind of wish that they were magnetic where I could put different Notoriously Morbid shadow here, here, and here, and not always say this one is not original to the palette. I tried to stay as close in color as I could, even though this one didn't show up on me at all. And this one is deeper than the tan that was here. It was the closest that I had, though. But I really do love this palette. And it surprised me last time I used it how much I really enjoyed it, because as I said, I was on the fence. Like, you know, some of these tones show up, you know, the same. And it depends on what I put them next to. And the same with the Poltergeist palette. So I was on the fence about that one too. But then as I used them more, because my first use of a palette, making sure I use all the shades in the palette, is just to use it, just to get it used to the formula, blah, blah, blah. But then after that, and I start to do just my own thing with it, that's when it really starts to shine. And I'm like, yeah, this rocks. And so this is top tier, y'all. This is top tier. The last one, top tier, Matte Connecting Color Palette. Matte just works for me. And they have been like radio silent for a long time as far as having interesting collections. But I can say I have all except one of their Connecting Color palettes, and I love them all. And 3 were limited edition. And so I'm like, I'm getting these. And I think I got one that I had for a giveaway. I think, I'm not sure, because y'all know I'd be buying stuff just to give it away, especially if I really like it. But this just works. And you may think, oh, that's monochromatic. No, it's not. It depends on what you do. And also with matte, their shadows for me show up true to pan. So this shows up this color, this shows up that color. This shows up this color, that shows up that color. You may look at it and be like, oh, they look the same. Not on me. They don't. This shows up different than that one. So even though you may see similarities in here, they show up different. This shadow right here is nice and bright, it's bold, and this is just a deep whatever. I have to say red because I'm not good at describing colors. But I really just love this palette and the other connecting colors. And so this is top tier. So top tier, Matte Connecting Color. I do have a referral code for that. This link below with other stuff. Notoriously Morbid. I have an affiliate code for that down below. Selling Cosmetics Grunge Life, top tier. Notoriously Morbid. I have a code for this down below. Unearthly Aura. I do have a wish list of stuff I want to get from Notoriously Morbid. Blitz Astral Quad from Pat McGrath, Iconic Illumination. Those are top tiers. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're even this month. We have 5 and 5. So mid-tier, Haunted Europe, only because every shadow creases in me. Natasha Denona Mini Xenon, only because I just don't reach for it unless I want something particular. That's the only reason. It's not just a palette that I pick up. Unazai Betty Jean, I was going to say Betty Bean, but it says Betty Jean on the palette. Planet Spirit Fitness, only because it's not my aesthetic. But if I want a bright or bold, I know exactly where to go. Ritualistic Rose, Bliss Astral Quad, Pat McGrath. If I want something soft and ethereal, I know where to go. It's not something I would grab often because it's not my preferred aesthetic. The same with Nomad Paradise Islands. Not my preferred aesthetic, but I really love every look that I did, like for real, for real. But that's the only reason those are where they are. Let me know your thoughts on these palettes. Let me know if you're surprised at my top tier, mid tier, and yes, no bottom tier for the month of April from the palettes that we used. And that excites me because I do really want everything I have to be like, they're all my favorite. You know what I mean? And it makes me feel good to have stuff in my collection that is like, sorry, excuse me for moving you, where I'm just like, they're all my favorite. I cannot pick and I refuse. And sometimes I feel like I'm at that point of, I'm just not going to rank. I'm not going, and that's why I tier instead of ranking, because it's just too hard. So what I'm doing while I'm talking to you is getting these in some kind of order for the screenshot. So this is what the thumbnail, I'm trying to get the glare off of this one. So this is going to be our thumbnail. Still trying to, here we go. Let me move my face a little closer. That one glare. Okay, here we go. Thank you for that, and I really hope it didn't glare. And I didn't want to hold it up because my arm is in my face, so I could do this. Yeah, let's do this. Thank you. So that's going to be the thumbnail. Thank you for bearing with me doing that. And it helps me just to do that because then when the video is over, I'm going to be like, oh, I forgot to do the thumbnail. So yeah, so that's why I do that sometimes in videos. Let me know your thoughts on these palettes. Let me know if you have any of these palettes. Let me know if you're surprised by my tiering. And if you've seen the videos of the looks I've done, because again, I use these in April, so the videos have been there. So let me know. You'll see Grunge Life looks this month, but I will put this video after that. So you'll have seen looks with all of these palettes. I would love to hear your thoughts below on those videos. If it's something in particular you want to see, again, there is a playlist and I label them very specific so you can find what you want to and avoid what you don't want to see. But do let me know your thoughts and help each other out in the comments. If you have one of these or a few of these, you like them, why do you like them? If you didn't, what were the issues that you had with it? Everything doesn't work for everybody. So let's just help each other out, sharing our thoughts down in the comments. And as always, self-acceptance and self-love, that is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.